The untold story of Monica Seles. From stabbing attack to tennis comeback, Monica Seles was more than a champion, she was a force. In the early 1990s, no one in the world of tennis could match the firepower she delivered from both wings. Her two-handed forehand and backhand were unlike anything the sport had seen. A relentless barrage of angles and aggression that left even veteran players scrambling. And she wasn't just winning, she was dominating. By 19 years old, Monica Seles had already become the youngest woman ever to reach World No. 1, claiming 8 Grand Slam titles with a confidence and ferocity that made her look destined for a decade of continued rule. But then, in one horrifying moment, on a warm afternoon in Hamburg, Germany, everything changed. On April 30, 1993, during a routine changeover in a match against Magdalena Maliva, a mentally unstable fan climbed out of the stands and drove a knife into Seles's back. The attack was so sudden, so surreal, that even the crowd didn't understand what had happened at first. Monica felt a burning shock, an icy sting of steel and pain, before collapsing forward onto the court. The image of her lying there remains one of the darkest moments in sports history. She was 19, barely an adult, and the world's brightest rising star. The motive behind the attack was as twisted as it was senseless. The assailant wanted to help Seles's rival, Steffi Graf, reclaim the No. 1 ranking. In that instant, the brightest career in tennis was violently ripped off its trajectory. Monica survived. Physically, the wound healed, but mentally, the damage was devastating. After the attack, she struggled with fear, anxiety, and deep trauma. She often explained that it wasn't the knife but the intention behind it that broke something inside her, the idea that someone wanted to hurt her simply because she was succeeding. The betrayal was magnified when, in one of the most shocking legal outcomes in sports history, her attacker received no jail time. Instead, he walked free with a suspended sentence, leaving Monica feeling abandoned by a system that should have protected her. "I couldn't understand it," she later said. "I didn't feel safe anywhere." The emotional shock, combined with the realization that her attacker would not be punished, made her fearful of returning to the public eye. Tennis had been her sanctuary. After the stabbing, it became a place of shadows and danger. Her 2-year absence from the sport wasn't just a break, it was a disappearance. The world of tennis moved on without her. Rankings shifted. New players emerged, and slowly, the narrative that Monica had once controlled began slipping away. The WTA removed her from the No. 1 ranking, a move that many criticized due to the circumstances. Seles watched as the sport she had dominated evolved without her. She later revealed that she didn't even touch a tennis racket for months after the attack. Her identity, once defined by strength, routine, and competitive instinct, felt shattered. Behind closed doors, Monica battled PTSD, depression, and nightmares. She didn't feel safe at tournaments, in crowds, or even in her own home. She was suddenly a young woman, grappling not just with lost momentum, but with the reality that her trust in the world had been violently shaken. The comeback that people hoped for felt like a distant dream. Many wondered if Monica Seles would ever return to tennis. Some even believed she couldn't. But what makes Monica's story extraordinary is not the tragedy, it's the resilience. In 1995, more than 2 years after the attack, she finally returned to the sport she loved. The comeback wasn't just physical, it was emotional, it was spiritual. It required facing the same environment where she had nearly lost her life. When she stepped back onto the court for her first tournament, the applause was overwhelming. Fans stood, clapping through tears. Commentators described the moment as one of the most emotional returns in sports, and the most shocking part, she didn't merely return, she returned at the top. In her very first tournament back, Seles won the 1995 Canadian Open, crushing opponents as if she had never left. Her timing was crisp, her power was intact, and her competitive fire burned just as brightly, proving that the spirit of a champion is something that no attack, no fear can extinguish. Afterward, she received a standing ovation that lasted minutes, a moment that symbolized the world welcoming her back with open arms. People weren't just cheering for her tennis, they were cheering for her courage. Her comeback reached its peak at the 1996 Australian Open. The tournament became a statement, one that declared Monica Seles was not done, not broken, and not defined by the violence she had endured. She played brilliant, tactical tennis, fighting through intense matches with a determination that amazed both critics and fans. When she won the final and secured her 9th Grand Slam title, the tennis world celebrated not just a champion, but a survivor. It was the ultimate triumph of heart over trauma. Yet the truth is, Monica's story didn't end with her comeback victory. The aftermath of the attack continued to shape her career. The competitive landscape had changed. Steffi Graf, who had been her biggest rival before the attack, dominated the tour. Younger players emerged with different styles and speeds, and Seles herself admitted that emotionally, she was never quite the same after 1993. The shadows of the incident lingered in ways that statistics could never measure. She struggled with her weight, with motivation, and with the pressure to maintain her previous level. Still, Despite these challenges, she remained one of the sport's most respected and beloved players. Monica continued playing at a high level for years, reaching another French Open final, winning more titles, and staying a consistent threat on any surface. But her journey after the attack wasn't about chasing numbers. It was about reclaiming her identity, rediscovering joy, and proving to herself that she could still shine. When she eventually stepped away from tennis in the early 2000s, it wasn't with sadness or regret. She had already won the victory that mattered most. In 2009, she was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame, a moment that cemented her legacy not just as a champion, but as one of the most courageous figures in sports history. Today, Monica Seles is remembered for far more than her incredible power or her early dominance. She is remembered as a woman who survived a nightmare, rebuilt herself piece by piece, and returned to the world's biggest stages with grace and determination. Her story resonates deeply because it highlights something universal: the idea that resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but facing it with courage. That healing is not linear. That strength is not always loud. The stabbing attack could have ended her career. It could have silenced her legacy. Instead, Monica Seles transformed tragedy into triumph. She reminded the world that greatness is not defined by uninterrupted success, but by the ability to rise after your world has been shattered. Her comeback stands as one of the most inspiring stories in sports, a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure, rebuild, and shine again.